setting up operations by the Russians. 4 other Jamaat Shariat survivors of the firefight were pushed up to the wall next to him. Israfil Nabiyev knew exactly what the Russians were doing. These Spetsnaz men had been ordered to take him alive, but with the dirt and perspiration and beards on their faces and the low pre-dawn light, the Russians were having trouble identifying the man they were looking for. Israfil looked around at the others. 2 were from his security detail. 2 more were Agvani cell members he did not know. They all wore their hair long and their black beards full, as did he. The Russians stood the 5 men up, shoulder to shoulder against the cold stone wall, and held them there with the muzzles of their rifles. A gloved hand grabbed the first Dagestani by the hair and pulled his head high. Another Alpha Group operator shined a flashlight on the Mujahideen. A third held a laminated card next to the rebel's face. The photo of a bearded man looked back from the card. "Niet," said someone in the group. Without hesitation, the black barrel of a Varzhog 40 caliber pistol appeared in the light, and the weapon snapped. With a flash and a crack that echoed in the alleyway, the bearded terrorist's head jerked back, and he dropped, leaving blood and bone on the wall behind him. The laminated photo was held up to the second rebel. Again, the man's head was pulled taut to display his face. He squinted in the flashlight's white beam. "Niet." The automatic pistol appeared and shot him through the forehead. The third bearded Dagestani was Israfil. A gloved hand pulled matted hair from his eyes and smeared dirt on his cheeks. "Niet. Может быть." "Maybe," said the voice. Then, "I think so." Pause. "Israfil Nabiyev?" Israfil did not answer. "Yes, it is him." The flashlight lowered, and then a rifle rose toward the 2 Jamaat Shariat rebels on Israfil's left. Boom! Boom! The men slammed back against the wall and then fell forward, down onto the mud at Israfil's feet. Nabiyev stood alone against the wall for a moment, and then he was grabbed by the back of the neck and pulled toward a helicopter landing in a cow pasture lower in the valley. The 2 black sharks hung in the air above, their cannons burbing at irregular intervals now as they ripped buildings apart and killed humans and animals alike. They would do this for a few minutes more. They would not kill every last soul. That would take more time and effort than they wanted to expend. But they were doing their best to systematically destroy the village that had been hosting the leader of the Dagestani resistance. Nabiyev was stripped to his underwear and carried down the hill through the loud and violent rotor wash of an Mi-8 transport helicopter. The soldiers sat him on a bench and handcuffed him to the inner wall of the fuselage. He sat there, sandwiched between 2 filthy Alpha Group men in black ski masks, and he looked out the open door. Outside, as dawn just began to lighten the smoke-filled air in the valley, Spetsnaz men lined up the bodies of Nabiyev's dead comrades, and they used digital cameras to photograph their faces. Then they used ink pads and paper to fingerprint his dead brothers in arms. The Mi-8 lifted off. The Spetsnaz operator on Nabiyev's right leaned into his ear and shouted in Russian, "They said you're the future of your movement. You just became the past." Israfil smiled when the Spetsnaz sergeant saw this. He jabbed his rifle into the Muslim's ribs. "What's so funny?" "I am thinking of everything my people will do to make me." "Maybe you are right. Maybe I should just kill you now." Israfil smiled again. "Now I am thinking about everything my people would do in my memory. You cannot win, Russian soldier. You cannot win." The Russians' blue irises glared through the eye ports of the ski mask for a long